So you're now going live.
Let's hope we are for real.
You're live. All right.
Am I live? Am I live?
You're live. Yeah.
It's working! Yay! Let me mute. Here we go. I think we're all in the right place now. Can everybody see me? Yay! Let me get this off. Close all that. Don't bother with whatever. It was just on your screen. It's just a blip. Hopefully everyone can see me now. I think so. Yay! Thanks for your patience. I've never done really a live stream that involved anything more than my face, and to record my computer and for you to see it live, it required a bit more of an intensive, OBS situation. So I wanted to get that all set up, and I'm sorry that it didn't go quite as smoothly as planned, but 15 minutes late isn't terrible. So welcome. Hi, I'm Plexi Cosplay. I have been in marketing for over a decade, and not with cosplay in particular, but obviously I am now dipping into the professional cosplay scene. And so to kind of meld my two passions, I wanted to do more with marketing and cosplay, and then also to reach out to the community. I wanted to show you what I know, and using a free program that everyone's probably heard of, Canva, show you how to make your own media kit. So that's what we're going to do today. If you haven't already, go to Canva, Canva.com, and make a quick account. It is free. Do not get the pro. You don't have to. And go ahead and get started on there. And I'll switch over my computer here in just a second so you can see what I see. So as we're getting started, I'm going to try to keep going back and looking and answering questions, but I'm going to do this like a teaching style where I show a little bit, and then whenever I reach a good stopping point or a point that I think that would be helpful for you guys to work a little bit, I'm going to go over and try to get some of your questions. So just follow along and type in any questions you might have as we go. So we're on Canva. You should have that open on your screen right now. This program I use for tons of stuff. I work many different things, but I can make, these are banners, you can make business cards, media kits, great. It's kind of my go-to for everything. Think of it like a bastardized version of Photoshop. So Photoshop requires a lot of different skills, understanding layers and things. Canva just takes that and puts it into like Photoshop for dummies. So it's a very simplified version. I'll use this if I don't have to do anything that's overly intensive. And a media kit is not overly intensive. So pull up your Canva. I guess I'm going to kind of explain this as though you haven't seen Canva before. So right here in the middle, what you will design, you can type in anything here. So say I want to make an Instagram post. As soon as you start typing that, you'll be able to see different selections. I do this for Facebook posts. They're all different sizes. That puts it into the correct size. As you hover over it, you'll see it shows you what that sizing is. So you can always double check. If your sizing isn't in here or you're making something weird, go up here to the top right to custom size, and you can put in your width, height, and make sure that you change it to the right sizing here. For now, what we're gonna do for this media kit, I believe I did an A4 size. And I'll show you actually before I start my media kit. This is what I've pre-made. Let's see if I show, it does show the sizing here. It's an A4 size, so about the size of a paper. We can also just do a standard paper size, 8.5 by 11, because that way you can print it out, easily hand it out. Everyone has access to that size paper usually, so that's what we'll do today. But this is an A4. I made mine 2 pages. Originally, I had my media kit as 1 page, this one right here. It looks like a resume for a cosplayer or an influencer, and that's basically like how I like to think of it. But after talking to a few people in the industry, there's also a push for the younger audience who's now starting to take the reins of different companies like Blizzard or any kind of gaming companies like that. They want more digestible information, and they want to see how influential you actually are. So not only will I have this old style resume, which is about 2 to 3 years ago, this was the most popular style, but I'm also doing a cover page, and I'll show you how to do that as well, that has more digestible content, and it's a little flashier, more image based. You can think of it even kind of like an infographic style. So I'm going to go back to my home, and I'll start from scratch for you guys. I'm going to go ahead and type 8.5 by 11. And it doesn't actually matter what the thing says. I'm looking at the size right now. I want 8.5 by 11. So I'm going to choose Mailing label's fine. And whenever you pull up that item, so go ahead and choose mailing label or anything that's 8.5 by 11, it's going to pull up a bunch of templates that fit in that size. So if it was exactly what you had wanted, say you wanted a Facebook post and then a template was the Facebook post in the style that you wanted, you could click that template and go for it. I'm going to go ahead and create a blank mailing label. So we just have a blank page here. Let me see if I can find Media Kit. No. Okay, so whenever you open this blank page up, it's going to have all your templates on the side that you can use with this sizing. And the nice part is you can always find things that kind of hit on the style that you like. I wish I remembered what I had done mine. You can also... resume. Let me see if I can go back and find. So if you go back to your original homepage, instead of doing the mailing label, and if you type in resume, that should be about an 8.5 by 11 or an A4 size page as well. And you'll see a ton of template options in here for resumes. This might be an easier starting point for you so you don't have to move so many of your things around. So pick something that you like. Today, I'm going to be using Talk Custom's information to make him a media kit. So I have all of his information with me. Before you start your media kit, you're probably going to want to kind of find all of your information and get it together. But you all know where to find your own information. I think you can handle it. So I'm going to do his for him today. And I'm going to try to find something that, like, this is a little too playful, a little too feminine. I want to find something somewhat masculine maybe, and use that to start. So I'm just looking through my templates here until something just sticks out to me, I suppose. And I want it to be relatively plain as well. Let me go ahead and look over here while you're all going. Cool. So have fun looking through your templates until you find something that you really like, and then we're going to click on it and get started. So what I picked for him, it's got a female on it, but it doesn't matter, is I picked something that kind of had maybe some colors and blocks that I liked. You can also start right from scratch, but if you're just starting out with Canva, totally take advantage of picking a template that already hits on the style that you have, and you can move things around from there. For me, and I guess I could pull up a second window here with my Canva thing so we can take a look and use it at the same time. We're going to start with our resume style media kit. So this is what mine looks like. We have biography at the top, my contact information. For me, this is think about what conventions want to know about you, why they should quote unquote hire you to work their convention. And that's how I set this up. So any sponsorships and partnerships, any affiliates that you have, those you're going to have a section for. And if you don't have these things yet, totally okay. You don't need it. We're going to try to take the best qualities that you do have and highlight them. And if you don't have some of these parts, just completely nix them off altogether. Same with awards. If you haven't won awards, it's okay. If you've been a finalist somewhere, put that in this awards section as well. They want to see where you've kind of shone bright at any type of convention. So anything that gives you a little bit of legitimacy, this is a place to do it. I have convention experience. So this is any convention that I've been to in any capacity that's more than just being an attendee. So if you've been a guest, a panelist, a helper, whatever, this is where you're going to put it. And my convention services are what I have to offer to the convention. So we're giving them the experience and the skills that I have from the past, as well as what I can offer them in the future. And I'm using that experience and skills from the other parts here to kind of back up what I can do for them in the future. So we're going to base this new resume that we're making for Talk Custom off of the one that I made. I also, because I'm a cosplayer, my big thing is the stuff that I make. I want to showcase that at the very top. So I'm going to add a lot of different images. And this is really easy to do. Don't worry. So whatever you picked as your resume template, we're going to clear off this top section. So the way that you move things around in Canva is you click it, you can click any piece and just move. I'm going to leave this color block here for a second. So what I did was I clicked it, and at the top right-hand side, you'll see a little lock. If you click that, that means anything else that I click on top or around it will not move that block anymore until I unlock it. It's really nice because now I want to isolate this section right here with these words. You don't have to select everything individually. What you can do is if you want to select, say, a grouping of things, you click outside of that grouping, drag over top, and then I'm going to delete it. So I'm just going to push the delete button. I don't even want that there anymore. I want to clear off the top section so that I can put images. So go ahead, if you've already pulled up your template, clear off the top section as much as you can so that we can put some images. And we're going to set it up just like my media kit. Once you have that done, over here on the left side are, I would say, like the major building blocks of what you're building. So you have elements, which would be like lines, shapes, grids, frames, uploads, anything that I want to upload from my computer and add to the document. Text is pretty straightforward. Background, we're having a white background on this. I'm not going to go too far into that. And logos are more for if you're like a marketer or a brand. I have that because I have Ultimate Cosplay. So to add images, we're going to go to elements because a grid or a frame is part of an element of this design. We're going to go ahead and scroll down and you'll see grids. Go ahead and click the word grids. I think I have, how many pictures do I have for him? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have about 6 pictures. I'm going to do 5. So there's a bunch of different grids. It starts at the lowest, which is 1, and it'll keep increasing. I'm going to scroll all the way down until I have 4 or 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This grid has 5, and it looks really funky. Whenever you click it, it will automatically fill the entire page with that grid. And then what we do is we're going to shrink it. So it automatically also selects that grid. So whatever corners and bounding box areas you click is going to be on that grid originally. I locked this, so I'm going to unlock it and I'm going to position it backwards. So just move your grid so that it's up at the top, stretch it. Well, you're shrinking it. So that it just kind of takes up the top like quarter of the page, maybe the top fifth. You can also click outside of the template. So all of this page, when you click outside, it unselects or deselects everything. So if you kind of get a little mixed up, too many things moving around, just click outside of it, take a deep breath, start over, click where those images are, that grid again. Right at the top left here, it says spacing. I like to reduce that. It's the spacing between the images. I want my images to kind of take precedent, not the spacing. Let me take a look, see if you guys have any questions. Okay, cool. Everyone seems to be doing okay so far. So I've changed it so that my grid takes up about the top fifth of the page, and then I'm going to fill it with images. So the way to do that is you go over here to the left of your page to uploads, and we're going to upload media. You have to already have these pictures in your computer. So all I have to do then is select, and I'm actually going to select everything that he gave me because I'll need these things for later as well. I'm going to upload all of the pictures. So now what I get to do is pick the 5 favorite pictures that I think would look well at the top of this page. So what you have to do is, I forget that I need to explain these parts. You click the image, click and drag it, and as soon as you drag it over an empty grid, an empty photo spot, it'll automatically fill it in that spot. If you want to put it to a different spot, you just keep dragging to the next one. If you unclick or let go of your mouse while it's in a spot, it cements it into that. To get it back out, you'll double click to move it again. We're going to put Dracula in the middle. I'm just going to start dragging and dropping all of my pictures. So this is a nice setup. Another thing to keep in mind is as you fill pictures, this is more of the psychology part of it, is you want people to stay on your page in terms of the way that they look at things. So this last picture on the right-hand side of him is pointing towards the resume or towards the middle of the page. If he were to be flipped and pointing the other way, it draws your eyes off the page. So as an extra like tip, try to have all your pictures kind of pointing towards the middle or pointing into a rounded section so that your eyes follow it towards the text of the page. Don't have your pictures looking outwards. To change that, you would just click whatever picture you want. So say it was this one here, and up here you would click flip. You can flip horizontal. So it's super easy. You can crop, change the cropping of the photo, and if you double click, you can also move it within the box that's there. So once you have all of your photos uploaded here, I'm going to start moving different parts around to match my media kit. We want to do a main photo here in the front. So I need to get some of this text out of the way. I'm actually just going to click and delete this text. I really have way too much going on here already. And this photo frame doesn't actually have a frame around it. Mine does to separate it from the pictures behind it. I'm going to delete this entirely. And it will first delete the photo, and then it will delete the element. I'll go back up to Elements, X, because we're not looking at grids anymore. And a different option, so grids is just basically boxes of photos. Frames is like a shape of a photo. So you can actually get that circle shape that I had in my other media kit, and this one has an outline to it. That'll be a better option for this, something with an outline. This is where I'm going to want to do a photo that is less in cosplay and more a picture of my face that shows maybe my personality. So for mine, it was just a picture of me smiling and doing an interview. Let's see what he has. I think he liked this one as his. I'm going to double click and drag and stretch the box so it has more of his face and less of an arm. Now it fills that. Whenever you click this frame, it has that outline around the frame. You can change the color of the frame itself by clicking the color box. I'm going to leave this one gray. His logo doesn't really have any particular colors in it, but I did decide that I was going to use more grays and actually the ultimate cosplay colors as we move on. It's nice to have a bit of a color scheme. So at this point, you should have your photos at the top and your main photo frame at the corner. I'm going to take a look and see if anyone has any questions. Everyone looks great so far. Okay. So we've got kind of the outline of the fancy part that catches the eye, but now we're getting more into the businessy part, the resume bit. I'm going to go ahead and rearrange some of this. I'm going to delete. So again, I'm clicking and dragging a box over anything that I want to delete and just hitting the delete button. Same with these. I'm going to clear up some space. We can add that all back in later really easily. I'd like to add his logo and his biography. Let's see. I did print out his biography. Looks aight. We're going to make a box kind of like one of these. Let me see if this is... So you can drag, if you like different parts of your template, you just want to reuse and change up the text, you can do that. Or you can start from scratch. We'll go back to Elements. Get out of the frame so that you're back here in the main section. Lines and Shapes is a really good section to find just basic shapes. And that's what we're going to want for this. These are different boxes, and this one actually has an outline. So the same way that your picture had an outline, except instead of a photo placeholder, it's just a box. So you'll find that in Lines and Shapes. I want the main middle color to be white, and I want the outside color to be the trim color that we used for his picture. If you want the line of this to be thinner, you'll actually drag from the bottom corner to shrink it, and then you can pull it back to size with the sides, and now you have a thinner outside line. So we have this is his logo. You just click it and it'll automatically put it in the middle of your template here. One of the things is if you try to do pictures on top of pictures, it will start trying to fill in your boxes. So you can click back on that grid and lock it. And remember, that means that nothing else will interact with it again. So if you find that happening and you're getting really frustrated, just lock things that you don't want to be interacted with and it'll stay there. You can always unlock it later. But we're going to go ahead and get his logo here. And I think I would like this box to be behind it so that it's not getting lost in the photos. It's looking pretty nice. So if you went to put the box on where his logo's at and it starts to cover up his logo, that means you need to change where everything is. So imagine that the way that Photoshop works and the way that Canva works is everything is in layers. So you start with your bottom layer and then it keeps placing things on top. For instance, looking here on the screen, we have the bottom layer is going to be your background, which is white. And then you have maybe a layer of a line here. And on top of that line, you have a layer of this box. And on top of this box, you have a layer of text. So it all goes on top of each other. You can click any given item, say this line, if I want this line to come to the front, and do position. Forward, backward. That's how you'd switch the layers of things. Just click on the item, forward and backward. But mine was already behind his logo, so this box fits really nicely here. Now what I'm going to do, and you can also group things. So say I want to move the box and the logo. Well, if you start to drag it, you're only going to end up dragging the logo. So what we can do is highlight. Remember, we select off of the item, drag over top, and instead of deleting like we had been doing, we can group. Up here at the top right, group. That means I'll move both things around now. So that can be really helpful. Move that up a little bit. So now we want to do his biography. That's the next thing that was on mine. I might move his logo over just so I can get it kind of out of my way here. And I want to do a title. So biography is different text than the bottom. I can even steal one of these boxes down here if I really like it and move it up here for his biography. I'd like to change the color of this box. So again, you just select what you want to change. Up here is the color, and you can change the color. These things right here is it tries to pick photos that you've already put into your template. It picks the primary colors of these photos. So that could be really cool if you want everything to match or look like it belongs together. You can pick things that are already uploaded here. I'm going to stick with maybe just a light gray for now. To change the text, you would click on the text that's there, or if you're going from scratch, over here on the left, text, select a text box, and it'll go ahead and put it, again, right out in the middle of your template as soon as you click it. But I already have my text out here, so I'm going to select that box, double click to edit. We're going to do biography. Any questions? We're all doing good. Okay. All right, so if this is ever overwhelming at any point, just know that you'll be able to watch this video later and redo it. But so far, hopefully you're having some fun poking around in here. So we have his biography. I'm going to steal some of the text from another part of this template. And you can always change the style of text right up here to the left. As soon as you click it, you'll have a whole drop down of different text. And you can also upload text in here if you don't see the style that you like. But I'm going to go ahead and just keep what we have for now. I actually might pick something that's a little larger. You can change the size here. And you can also, this button right here, spacing. This is for text only, so any of the text that you click, you can click spacing, and you can change the line and the letter spacing. Letter spacing is how close the letters are together. The line spacing, obviously from line to line, how close that is together. You can see on mine, the lines are pretty far apart. I think I want to reduce that a bit to save on space. And then you use these different corners and bounding box edges to stretch and give you more room for that text. So I'm just going to go ahead and type in the biography he gave me. I don't care how big this looks on the screen yet. I'm gonna go back in and edit it afterwards. So don't worry if it seems like it's just overtaking everything. You'll get to edit this all in a bit. So now I've got this big block of text. Write whatever biography you want. You want to keep it pretty short with the major highlights of what you do. So what somebody's looking for in this resume, imagine that they have no idea who you are. Like you could have 1 million YouTube followers and they don't know squat about you. You're explaining to them just the major points of what you do. So for me, I believe I wrote, I'm a foam smith. I'm going to zoom in here. I wrote that I create my costumes from scratch. Tiffany Gordon told me that everyone wants to know when you started cosplay, even though I find that not very important. Conventions do. So put whenever you started cosplaying. Do you make your own costumes? And what are the major points for me? I'm an award-winning cosplayer, so it shows that I have put myself out there and have earned some legitimacy in the convention circuit. But that I also wanted to put in there, one of my major things is that I like to educate people and support others in the cosplay community. It's a big thing for me. For you, it might be that you're a performance-based artist. It could be that you really like to have tutorials, that you're a great guest and judge. I don't know, maybe you are a needlework-heavy person. You can put that in there too. Just the major points, and you want to keep it to like 3 sentences, maybe 4. So we're going to go ahead. If you change your bounding box by the bottom corner edges or the top corner edges, it will actually shrink the size of your text. If you grab by the side or the bottom, it's going to shrink the area of the text. So 2 things to keep in mind there. So I want his to go to the edge. I'm going to shrink it a little bit. And I'll just keep moving things around. I'm going to group this actually. So I move that around as one item. Okay, so whenever you're doing this, you've probably already got a good feel and you've started, you have your biography at the top. Flanked by that is a big picture of you. And if you have a logo, put it somewhere on top as well. Have your 5-picture grid right behind it. All right, so the next thing that I have on mine, I like to put my contact information right below my face bubble. That's where it makes the most sense because they're going to be looking for your information right near your actual face. So we're going to do that next. So biography to the right, contact right below. I believe I'm going to keep utilizing these boxes because why not? I've already started on that path. So you'll see that I, a lot of times, will click things, move them around. Right now I've selected all 3 of these, and then I get overwhelmed. I click outside and start over. Because all I want to do is select the text now. Did I put contact me? No, just contact. So I have just contact here. I'm actually going to, I didn't want to do the corner. I'm going to shrink this box and make it centered so it makes sense. So naturally, what Canva will try to do is as you move things around, it will snap to different grids. So this one that it's snapping to right now, that's the square, is kind of the visible area, and it's the safe area for printing as well. But it will also snap to things around it. So right now it has a dotted line going up through the middle of the image bubble right above it. It also has a dotted line going to the very bottom of the bounding box of the text beside it. It'll just take a guess at the nearest things about where you want to put things, and it's doing a right guess in that I want it centered to the bubble right above it. So I'm going to stop there and release. Move my contact text right up in there. I'm going to, again, steal one of these, but actually I'm going to delete both of these. Because whenever we made this text box up here, when I moved it, you remember I changed my line spacing? I want the line spacing to match on the text throughout this whole thing. I don't want different line spacings. So because I changed the line spacing on this original biography text, I want to copy that and use that formatting for all of my other text. Sounds kind of intense, but it's really not. Click the text box that you want everything to be formatted the same way as that. We're going to copy, so you can, this button up here where it has the plus sign is duplicate. That means you're duplicating whatever you have selected. Or you could do Control-C, Control-V. And we're going to move it down to the contact box area. I'm going to change the width to the contact box area that I want it to be. Actually going to make it a little bit wider. And then all I have to do is change the text that's in here. So let me go ahead and highlight all the text, and I'm going to change it out. Do not put your address here if you have a home address. If you have a P.O. box, it makes sense. I do not have a P.O. box because I'm not so popular as Christopher Talk. So mine just has my city, state, and then it's also going to have my website if you have a website, and my email address. I personally don't give out my phone number because people don't usually call. They actually usually email. So we'll do... I hope you're all getting this P.O. box so you can send him ridiculous things after this. I believe he has the talkcustom.com address. I'd like to make this a little bigger. I'm going to move this up closer to the contact. If you click a box that has text in it without highlighting any of the actual text, that means you're going to start editing the box itself. If you start pushing the up arrows or the down arrows, it will move it per pixel across your screen. So I just moved it up a few pixels with my up arrow. Recommendations on fonts. Yes, so your title fonts, anything like that, like biography, contact, expertise, all of this stuff should be a very clear, almost bold font. So you can, if you have a font, select bold at the top to change it. If you want all your fonts to stay the same. I don't recommend fonts with little extras to it. So like, let's take a look here. Allegria, it has a lot of little swirls and bits attached to it, and that can be really overwhelming with a lot of text. So I like to choose text that has very straightforward edges. And if I'm running out of space, I'll even pick text that is thinner. So like this Futura MDBT is a wider text than this one. So I could use this for the high text areas to try to fit more in a small space, and then use the bigger version of it for the titles. These are really good ones. These are actually the Ultimate Cosplay fonts, but you can scroll down here. I do Archivo Black for a lot, or Anton if I have a lot more text for like the titles. And then Aramo is a good one for the smaller, the more impact, like all of the biography and stuff. So again, thinner for the bigger sections, thicker for the title sections. But just make sure it's very clear. All this swoopy, weird stuff is not clear, so don't pick those. All right. You can also change, I changed the color of my titles to match the color of the edges here. And once you pick one color, so say this, it'll always save it up here in your document colors. So it'll be easy to go back and select that same color for different text like contact, biography, whatever it might be. All right. So the next thing, we can go right down the side. Sponsorships and partnerships. So this can get a little funky. Yes, you can import custom fonts, by the way. I know someone else answered that. If you go to, let's see, if we just go here and select text, you can, down here at the bottom, upload a font. And I have a bunch of different ones that I have on my computer, but that's how you do it. You put the text box in, have that selected. When you go to change your font at the bottom, upload font. I'll delete that. So I think I would like my biography to be that block color, but everything else, I think I want to match with this thinner box. So I'm going to delete literally all of this. And clear out my page. I'm going to change the color of this bottom to that gray. I want it a darker gray. I'll run it by him later. I'm going to select again, you click off, drag across the box and the text to select both. Control C, Control V, so I duplicate it and put it right below. Next thing we have is sponsorships. I'm gonna use the and sign. Obviously this box is gonna have to be bigger. And a lot of this, the good part is you all are artists, so a lot of it's just a matter of doing what looks right and messing with it and dragging, dropping, all of that stuff. So, you know, get artistic with it. So sponsorships and partnerships. Again, I'm going to select this original box that I made of text, Control C, Control V, so that I keep that same formatting and drag it down below. It's going to, as you see, try to line it up with the text that was above it, which is super nice. Highlight all the text and you can start writing. I believe for mine I did bullet points. So in order to do bullets, select your text, and then up here at the top you'll see there's a list with bullet points. You can select that and it will automatically bullet point the same way it would in Microsoft Word. Now, Talk has not won a lot of awards, but he does have a ton of sponsorships and partnerships. So his is going to look a little different than mine. Mine's pretty evened out. His is going to be really heavy on the sponsorships and partnerships. It shows that he's really inundated in his community, and it shows that companies really love working with him. So rather than focusing on him being some award-winning cosplayer, we're focusing on the fact that he makes really amazing connections with people. So this is a great way to look at what you do, what your goals are, and kind of change up your resume to reflect that. If it becomes too much, you can also pick your favorite or most impactful sponsorships and brands, or the ones that are assisting you right now. And you might not have anything for sponsorships and partnerships, and that is A-okay. Just go ahead and skip over this part and make your way to the next section. We will fill it in with the things that you are really good at. So if you don't have any sponsorships and partnerships, maybe you also don't have any awards yet. You've probably posted some things or made some really amazing costumes. We're going to focus on those as the highlight instead. But I'm just filling it out the way that we have it for now. Okay, so that's it for his sponsorships and partnerships. And now we all get to oogle over how great Christopher Talk is. All of the brands he's partnered with. Okay. Again, in order to copy, you can drag a box over. So we have the box and the text. Control C, Control V. And we're going to pull this down, line it up. We're going to put his awards nowhere on here, I believe. Services, YouTube. Yeah. He's been a finalist at TwitchCon. I'm sure we could put some of that in here if you wanted. We'll check back later. But typically you would do awards. We're going to skip that here and instead go up to the next section. So the halfway point, whenever you're moving things around on Canva, If you move it around, you'll see that most lines are dotted lines, but every once in a while you'll come across and it snaps to a solid line. That means you're at the middle of the template, which is great. That's where you want to be. I'm going to go ahead and stick that there. That means we can probably move some of this stuff over a bit, but I'll give it just a second. So the next one is convention experience. Gonna copy, paste. For mine, I did not have a bullet point for this one. Now I can copy and paste this instead of my biography box because now all of these are the same format. We copy pasted, copy pasted, copy pasted. Everything's going to keep the same formatting. So you can copy paste from anything that comes from that original text. I hope that makes sense. You'll learn very quickly if it's not, because you'll copy paste something and then the lines will be all messed up and it doesn't match. So you'll just delete it and start over. So to undo your bullets, you can take that off, or you can select numbers, bullets, whatever. I'm going to erase all of this. For convention experience, for mine, I highlighted or bolded the convention itself first. Then I pressed enter and did the standard text below. And I just listed what did I do at that convention officially. So if you're not an attendee, don't list this for I attended conventions. That doesn't do anything. If you were a guest, if you did a panel, if you were a workshop instructor, if you were a judge, anything like that counts. For Talk, he's going to be like a host for some of these. So any title you might have had is what you're going to put in this section. So first we're going to, and I start with the most recent and then go to the oldest. That's with everything, including your awards. If I go back to my awards section down here, I started with the most recent award that I have. I put what the award was, where it was won, and what year. And then I just went down the list. So if you're making your awards, and I did mine bullet point style for that too. Again, Talk doesn't have this section for his, so we're gonna go up to convention experience. We'll start the most recent. I can select that text and bold it. Enter. And I'm actually going to zoom into this page so you can see a little bit more. At the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, there's a little slider. That's the zoom in so you can see better. Probably should have done that sooner. All right, unbold for your next line. I didn't write 2021. Unbold. All right, so he was a cosplay guest. I'm going to actually stretch this text box because it can go all the way. I wouldn't say quite that far. I want to give myself a little bit of a... See where it's snapped there? That's the margin that it recommends. So snap to the margin that it recommends. Should be about 1/2 inch or so. Workshop instructor. I would recommend listing these in terms of what you think is most important. He was a cosplay guest for sure. I would probably say host was most important, but we're going to leave it the way that he gave it to me. For this, I want to double enter to the next section, and we're going to push bold to list our next event. Unbold. How to write about being a commission builder. What I would do for commission building, that's more, it's closer to the actual resume side of things. So you could do sponsorships and partnerships, but this resume is more built towards a convention. If you want to do for a commission building, I would say past commissions, like list the companies. So instead of the events, you're going to list companies, what year you worked with them, and what you did for them is going to be the unbolded thing below that. So tell what you built, maybe what the timeline was, if you want to, you could even put a budget in there, but I would kind of keep that out. So instead of convention experience, your commission building experience from the past and what companies you worked with. I think that would be a really good place to start. And we're going to highlight that in the cover page as well, with different pictures of the stuff that you've built. But I'll show you that in just a little bit. Zoom out just a little bit so we can see how far we have left on this page. So the last thing we have is services. What I'm actually going to do, because these are so, the stuff on the left side of my page is very thin compared to the right side, is that I can actually utilize that. I'm going to select all these things, move them over and up. And I'm going to then unselect and move my text box so that it goes a little bit further. And this can actually stay the way it is. Okay. Looking nice. I'm gonna select my box, copy paste, and pull it down here just below. I think what I need to do, I have an idea, to make more space. So I'm gonna make this a single line up here. I have the space to do it. I'm gonna do it. Do it. Move this up. Same with this. I'm actually going to delete this now because I want this same box but down here. And I'm putting convention services. So for someone who's doing maybe commissions, so you have your commission experience, and then below you would put commission services. You could say if you do props, if you do needlework, what you specialize in. Maybe your turnaround times would be great. If you're doing any sort of additions or modifications versus building something from scratch. If you do full build commissions, all of those things you want to list in here, as well as like final paint jobs, all the parts. Because someone might just want to hire you for a part of something. I had somebody who just wanted me to paint their armor. So that could be a service that I would offer, is painting. But any of that can go in here. Yeah, so if you don't have quite as many things to fill in, if you were just a panelist, I would put panelist and then list, maybe even in bullet points if you're trying to fill up a little bit of space, exactly what your panel titles were. Same with your workshops. They love to see, I don't have room in mind for that. I could very easily see how that can be a problem, and I would totally fill in the names of the panels and workshops I did. They'll probably ask me that in the future if they wanted me to be there for panels and workshops. So you're just kind of getting it out of the way now. Yeah. Dark colors are really hard for people to read if you're doing a dark background with a light color. So for mine, for instance, I did just a light purpley, and then for this background, it's actually an image of purple geodes that I dulled down, and I'll show you how to do that. But transparency I put down to 5. So I dulled it almost to white, but it gives it just something extra. I wouldn't put any super dark colors though. It is just a little bit blinding to read. And also if they want to print it out, they're going to have a hard time. So always try to stick with the white colors in the background. Very little else. I might go back and change these main colors so it's not so black and white, and pick maybe a blue from his Monster Hunter build that looks really cool. And I could also change that to a blue. And this outside to a blue. I would have to ungroup. So you get a little extra color in there without being visually overwhelming. You can see how I just go and click each different item to change colors. I'm gonna put my services down here. All right, so I'm just gonna go through and type in his services, but I'm probably gonna edit a little bit as I go too. So for services, the way that I did mine and the way I'm gonna do his is the same kind of way that I did the convention experience. You say what the service is, and below that, I'm doing a little bit more in depth on what that service means. So if you did, say your service for commissions was needlework, I could say, I specialize in ball gown design and finishing whatever. So what type of needlework? Like, what does that entail? Or I specialize in multimedia, mixed media items, and I've done this, this, and this. So you can change it to what you need. But for me, I kind of picked the main things that I had up in this convention experience and then explain how that translates into services. What can I do for you in the future? So that's what we're going to do for him right now. Also, if you have a hard time writing this, I would recommend finding somebody either in this chat or find a friend that you have that's in the cosplay community and let them write about you, because it's easier for someone to write about somebody else sometimes than it is for you to write about yourself. And you tend to be harder on yourself, and it's easier to support a friend, so they're going to really talk you up. So it might be good to have somebody else talk you up and write and help write with you even. Also, fun note, boothing is not a word, but we're doing it. I'd recommend as a panelist, they could hire you to do any panel, but putting in there what you really specialize in or what you really like to do will help set you in the path of doing more of what you like to do instead of whatever the convention wants you to do. And then you might have an idea that they haven't thought of either. So for me, it's different things like marketing or turning your passion into profit, things like that, which is a high demand panel for Chris Talk. It's more of the mental health, the cosplay positivity, like what his strengths are in the community, and that's what he does panels on. So it's a nice way for conventions to be able to also kind of categorize who they're bringing on and what their strengths are. So you get to play a part in that choice in what you write. I'm going to reword some of this later whenever I come off of here, so right now I'm stopping it there. I'd like to make them a little shorter. We're gonna run out of space, and that's okay, because we'll move things around. So what I'm going to do while you guys are typing is just kind of move some stuff around to make sure that I have the space that I need. me check on here. We have been fanning over you, Talk. Everyone knows about how great you are now. Okay, so for his, and for probably yours, it looks different from my original media kit, because nobody is the same. I like to, at the very bottom, leave space enough for some social media highlights, because really what conventions and what sponsors, what affiliates, anyone that you're sending this to, they want to know is how impactful are you? And the way to do that is to give them a quick snapshot of all of your stuff. So I guess my better thing would be to show you what you can do is if you already have something populated on Canva in a different template, is you can highlight it all, Control C, go to your new template, Control V, and it'll bring it over. But I'm going to show you from scratch because that's not something you have yet. So we're going to zoom out just a little bit. The way to find these little widget guys, I don't know what you would call them, they're not interactive, is you go to Elements. Again, Elements, you have lines, shapes, grids, frames, everything. You also just have random photos, like stock photos, clip arts. So search for anything from Canva. That's your search bar in this. I can type Facebook, and it'll pull up a bunch of different options. And all I'm looking for is one of these little buttons. I gotta find where that... I'm gonna change the color to the blue that we used in the different part of this. When I used it here on the text and on that blue is saved in my document colors. So I'm gonna change the widget guy to be that. Let's see what stats he gave me. Facebook, YouTube's his big one. So we'll X out and do YouTube. I wanna pick, if it says Pro, that means if you don't have a Pro account, you can't use it, or you have to pay like $1 for it or something. You can also just open a new internet tab and type in YouTube logo, YouTube whatever, and find one, download it, and then put it in an upload instead. But this is where you would find you can use any of these red ones. I'm gonna pick this little circle so he matches. I'm going to line him up. So I moved this big icon down with this. I want them to be all the same size. So I'm gonna let it snap to a grid at the top of the Facebook logo. So the tops match up. I'm gonna pull from the bottom corner until it snaps to the bottom. Voila, they match now, exactly the same size. I want his YouTube to be first because that's where he's most well known at. We have Twitter and Instagram. I'm gonna do Instagram. Again, I'm gonna use the circle one, but if you don't have Pro, you might have to use one of the square ones. That's totally okay. Line it up to the top, pull up from the bottom to match. And the other one's Twitter. Pull it to the top matching, pull the bottoms up to match. So we have all four here. I'm gonna move them so they're a little closer together. Looks about right. Kind of want these to be, So I selected all four of these, which groups them into one item, and then I centered it where it snapped to the center grid of the text above it. So that's exactly what I want. I like things to line up. Let's take a look. Why is this live? I know, so it's live right now and I'm going a little bit fast, but the good part is it'll be on a replay, so if you ever want to follow along again in the future, you can play the video and you'll get to see everything in live time how I find it. I hate whenever someone makes a video and they edit out some parts, and for me that might have been an essential part where they found something, but here you can see live exactly where I'm finding everything, and you'll have it unlimited amounts of time afterwards. So here we are. So I have my icons that I want to use. I typically stick to these. I also, for mine, have a TikTok one, and I take away my Twitter because I don't care about Twitter. So I just use my favorites. These are my favorites. And below, I'm going to put all of my followers for each program. So you want to use an icon for this. Don't use text to show how many followers you have by saying Instagram, such and such followers. You want things to be, if they can be in a photo format, you want it to be that way. It's the easiest way for someone to get a snapshot look of what you're trying to explain to them. And this is something that's super important. So we're going to go back over here. We picked all of our elements that we wanted. Go to text. And you're going to add something, whatever you want, and change it to the text that you had everywhere else. For me, it's PT Sans, I think. It'll pull it up here at the very top, whatever you've been using most often. I'm going to pull this text box down. For his YouTube, he has 100,000 plus subscribers. This is obviously too big, so I'm going to shrink it down. And I'm also going to change the line spacing so that it looks a little closer. And it snaps. Again, when you move it, it will snap to centering on the icon above it. Might need to make that even a little smaller so it doesn't overlap with the Facebook one. So now that I have that, Control C, or actually let's just do duplicate since I can show you the button. Up here at the top right, duplicate. And it'll copy that text box. For Facebook, you have followers. Always put a plus after the number because you are probably going to continue to gain followers, subscribers, whatever it is. So put a plus afterwards. Take a roundup estimate of what you have, put a plus, and then change the wording as needed. 5,000. It's followers. Instagram. Oh, he's got the same. No, Facebook is 1,500. Sorry. And then for Twitter, I can see that this text is a bit of a different color than this text. I'm going to change the color to this. Looks about the right gray. This is the most commonly used gray in this template. And that way it should now match better. Yep. Probably going to put something else down here or move his sponsorships and partnerships down. Let me do that. I'm actually going to move everything on this left side down just a bit. So it's more centered on the page. So I can zoom out down here at the bottom right. I can zoom out. See how everything looks. Still looks a little cluttered up here. I might need to change what we have. Sponsors. Yeah, so that'll take off that bit. So now we have a bit of better spacing up here too. Again, this is the fun part about being an artist, is that you can probably do this just with your own knowledge already. Doesn't really take a whole lot of teaching for that. So I'm actually going to also, I believe, bold his name. You don't have to add your real name. I'm selling this as a service, and I ask people whether or not they want to have their real name listed. I don't even think I have my real name listed. Let me see. Oh, I do. A lot of times people don't want their real names listed. They just want their cosplay name listed. You can always get to the real names later if they're really interested in you. But here's what his looks like so far. Let me know if you have any questions, if you've reached this point, how it's going, how it's looking. I'm feeling pretty happy about this. It looks about like mine, just slightly different. And yours might be the same. Might look about like mine, but slightly different. I'm even going to move this down a little further. I might enlarge it a bit. Fill up that space. Okay, so if you have this part done, and you want to get a little fancy, before you make a whole fancy front cover page deal, you can change the background a little bit. So, Ganoza was talking earlier about, do you want a white background? You want it to be close to white, but you can make it all fancied up. So you can even take a picture of yourself that you already have and put it in the background. How you would do that is click the background section. So if I'm unclicked from everything, I want to go to where the white part is and click the background. You can change it with the color wheel if you want and make it look terrible. Or you can add a grid all the way down here and add a single picture grid. Now that is your background. You can fill it in with something. So maybe I want to fill it in with the Talk Custom logo. It's too big. I want to fill it in with something different. I like how that cuts off his face. In fact, I want this one to be different as well. Let's do... That works. I think I have some other photos of him too. We could do that. And now that totally jacks up all your text, right? So we want to dull it out a lot. Go up here to this faded checkerboard thing and decrease the transparency. I still have the other thing clicked, sorry. So it's barely visible. Center that. So what I'm doing is I click the thing that I want to crop, double click it, and it'll pull up this crop box. You can make it bigger, smaller, whatever. And it also brings up a grid line so you can see exactly where the middle point is. So it's very, very light, but it does kind of give a little bit more depth to the background. So it's only if you want to get kind of fancy with it. All right, so this should be your main resume page. And I'd like to take it one step further and help show you how to make a cover page that's more for the youngins. And you're going to utilize more of the things that you've done really well at to kind of showcase those instead of showcasing what you can do and what you have done. I'm going to explain it. So we'll stay on the same page, okay? Let's go ahead and if you scroll down, even if you're not done this, it's cool. We can go to the next part and you can edit all this later and mess with it. At the bottom, it says add page. That means it will add the exact same size page that you have already. I'm gonna add a page. For mine, let me zoom out. This is kind of ridiculous. What we're trying to do for this is that the kids, this makes me sound old, the folks who are leading many of the companies nowadays, like Blizzard or Riot or whatever, tend to be fairly young, and the younger generation digests content in a much different format, and in a way that's more infographic style, and it highlights things in a pictorial way instead of a wall of text, because a wall of text can be intimidating. For me, I like to have this younger version first, and then I'm going to put the long resume version in the back. So if I grabbed your attention with this first page, you might want to read the second page. The second page is where all the good stuff's at, like the meat of it. So think of this as like an impulse buy sort of a thing. You want it to look great. You want to highlight your best stuff that you've done, whether it's a prop that you've made, whether it's a posting that you've made, whatever's been the most impactful for you. For me, I picked 2 different things. For Tuck, I believe I had him pick his YouTube channel as a whole, and then a video and how many views that got. I'm probably going to have to get some more information from him too. You're going to want to have a screenshot or a video. So if you're sending this, I'm going to show you where you can make it so the video is actually part of the resume in a way. So if you're sending it online, they could watch this as a playable resume. It's really cool. Promise it's super easy. let's go ahead and design yours. So you can take, if you click outside of the template and drag over your top grid, Control C, scroll down, Control V. It'll duplicate it on your next page. So you have the same header for both. We don't need this little bitty. I did keep my logo, so I'm going to drag Z. I'm going to lock that. I'm going to drag over the logo in the box, Control Z, scroll down, Control V. I'm actually going to make this one a little bit bigger. I also did just a quick summary of the things that you list in the resume part. So all of these services that you have, I basically put in a little box here on the side. So we're going to do that for his now too. What you want to do is go to Elements to make this box, or you can select the box itself that you've already made and you can duplicate it. That way you don't have any problems with it. I might put his right up here. So we want to take, I'm going to do a duplicate on this as well, because I want to keep the same text style, and you can move it from page to page, which is really nice. I'm going to do this bullet style. I'm just kind of going over what he's a panelist. What else did he say? Just your major points, and then as soon as you're done, you can fill up your box by just stretching it, and it will automatically resize your text. I'm a little particular about things having the same spacing on each side. So that's what we have here. Yeah, the Big Talk custom logo ended up being really pixelated. I can try it here for this one. So we go to Elements, do a grid, then an upload, all the way to the top. Super pixelated. I could, if it's not quite the right size as the grid, you could also just upload the item straight out. We want to do to the back. I think that looks a lot better. That'll work for this one. Okay. So for this, we're going to do the top custom logo in the background. Give it a go. I might, but it looks okay so far. I think this will work, especially because it's faded out. So whenever you fade things out, it's not so obvious if something isn't high res, which is nice for this. And we can go back and change things afterwards too. All right, so we're going to highlight for him his YouTube crap because he's YouTube famous. Fortunately, I have some of his YouTube stills here, I believe. Let's take a look. Let's go back kind of far. Yeah, I've got some of these YouTube stills. One of these is how to sew. Talk, you can tell me if this is the how to sew one. That's one we're going to use. His how to thread, I think. Tell me what the title of your best performing video was, Talk. because that's what we're going to highlight here. It has 1.2 million views, and his YouTube channel has 3.8 million total views. Those are pretty cool numbers, so we want those numbers to be like, bam, super big. And then we're going to add some extras. So I'm going to go ahead and pick a big, bold text. Open Sans is looking nice. I'm going to make this a blue. Yeah, this whole video is going to be on my channel afterwards. We just did kind of the resume section so far. And next we're working on the fancy schmancy youngsters cover page to grab everyone's attention. And then I can show you right before I end how to resize this into little cards that you can hand out to companies, which is nice if you're like at a convention and you're like, hey, Iwata Airbrush, I want to work with you. Here you go. And you can have it on a little card. It's easy to resize this without having to remake the entire thing. Sewing for beginners. All right. So what I did was I'm going to do talks most, but I'm going to use a text that's maybe a little more masculine. Let's just take a look here. Maybe I won't. I don't see anything that I like a whole lot. So you can see how I'm working a little bit faster now because I've explained all of these things, and eventually you will also be just as fast. So I'm going to do his most popular platform. It's YouTube. Space. We're gonna add some extra stuff. You can do you can type in all kinds of things in the search bar to find different designs. So what I do is if I find a design that's a one-way type of thing, you can copy, paste, make a second one, and then flip horizontally. Put it on the other side. Bloop. I'm going to put some pictures in here because that's what we want for this. Lots of pictures. Lots of ridiculousness. I'm going to lock that in the back. You see how it's easy to figure out what needs locked and what doesn't? All right. And then we're also going to move this down here. We're going to do talks most. I think, nope, talks best performing video. So we're going to highlight, it could be, for me, I picked 2 different things. I picked my best performing video and I picked my best performing still shot. If you're doing maybe like custom items, your, I don't know, most intensive project, whatever it is, just whatever has the most impressive numbers or is the most representative of what you want to be and what you want to be perceived as. And then what I do, for his, it's a lot easier. It's just on YouTube. And we're just using his YouTube statistics. For mine, I did all of the statistics on likes, shares, and the accounts reached. You can find these in analytics. So if you go on Instagram, pick a post, tap the 3 dots, I believe, and it has analytics. You can see all of these stats on there. And I also combined, so this was across 2 platforms. So my video was on TikTok and Instagram. So I combined all of those things for a bigger number, but it is the same video and the same post. Same with my best performing image. It went across 3 different platforms, so I combined all of those numbers together to get my likes. I didn't feel like messing around with the shares and stuff. It just got too intensive. So biggest number, most impressive. Let me see here. I always do third person. So you're speaking as though you are popular and rich enough to hire somebody else to do this for you. So everything should be in third person. So Plexi's best performing video, Talk's best whatever. That's why it can sometimes be easier to ask somebody else to write something about you, because then it'll be from their point of view and you can just edit some of the details later. But yeah, I always do third person whenever you're writing anything like this. Okay, so now I want to spice this up a little bit with some images. He did not give me stills for this, but you can do a video. So what you're going to do is go back to your elements. We have these grids and frames. Remember how we did a frame before for this? You can do a frame again. Let's see what kind of one. You can just pick one that you really like. I might do one that's rectangular. This one has like a photo thing, which I don't particularly like. I don't know. I think I'll pick one of these. You can have that overlay with the photo as well. So I'm going to offset these. I think, what do they call this? An inlay, where you put something over top something else. Just move this out a little bit. I'm going to pick up some of his pictures from here because he didn't give me the right ones yet, and he'll give me them later. So I think this one is his sewing one. Now, remember that thing earlier where I said you want things to point and draw the eyes back in towards somebody? Can flip his picture. And I can also edit the picture in here too. Since this is being a little bit funky looking, I think I'm going to maybe fade this. If I wanted to do a fade, I would do it in Photoshop. You can't really fade an image just on one side. Or so what I did here was I typed in fade in elements. And then these all fade to a gradient to nothing. And then I added it over top of the image. That way you can kind of see that a little better. I also might try this one. Change the color fade to a white since that's closest to the background. See how this looks. It looks pretty good too. So Control CV, flip it to do for the other one. You can see it's right now in front of my text, so I'm going to position it backwards, backwards, backwards. That looks great. Let's see. Yeah, so I like to remember you're trying to find something that has the most impact. So picking something that already has a lot of views or whatever. I need this little buddy to come up here. I'm going to move him out of the way. That. To the front. I want you up here, little guy. Do this. So you're not lying. Not lying about your numbers. You're combining across platforms to give a more encompassing view of how well that thing really did perform. And it performed super well, right? So trying to get this away from the edge so it's not right up against it. Move my stuff back. I'm going to select all this down here. Move it just a little. Move this down. Because I would also like to add his socials one more time. These things from the first page, click off, drag, and highlight all the icons as well as the text. Can duplicate. I'm going to group it so it stays together. Drag it down here. You can see that solid line comes up again. That's when you know that you've hit the middle point of the page. So I'm going to rearrange these just a little bit. I'm going to ungroup them because we're kind of low on space, I would say. I'm going to do them side by side. I can move these around a little bit more in just a second. I'm a little picky about things, so forgive me. And this means you can also increase that size. So I got to 14, so I'll do this one at 14. I'm going to left justify. So this up here is how it justifies. It'll cycle between left, center, right. Left justify. Change it to 14. Left justify. And we do this one at 14. Left justify. And I'll center all of them. So I've got all his socials at the top, and then his best performing videos, well, his best performing platform, and then his best performing video right below that. For mine, I'll go back to that. I have my socials at the top. I have a little diddly here about what my services are without all the extras. And then all of my best performing things. We can do, if we want, move this over and have a contact me kind of area. I'm trying to think if I want that or not here. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. If you want to be able to center this, move the text box over so that whenever you select everything, it goes to just the edges of what's selected and it will center when it gets on that solid line. That is technically center of those two items on the page. think I might also enlarge this. Let me see if I have a top. Here we go. Lock it. I think I'll put top custom up there so it makes sense, and I'll center it on this text box below. So to insert an actual video, if you have a photo grid, sorry I didn't show you that. So this one was a photo grid, right? I can delete that. You upload media. So I have a lot of videos uploaded here. And then you just hover it over the grid. So instead of a photo, now you have a video in there. And it has your music. You can take the music down. And you can also change transparency on that. You can crop it. But also what I really like to do instead of having the entire video is the cut button. You can just cut out a section. Like, say I just want like this section done, and it'll just keep cycling through that section over and over again. So use those video, the photo boxes the same as you would with the video. It's really nice that way. This is a pretty good picture. Can flip it. Look at that. That's a good one. So I'm keeping his photos in there. If he can trim out a little bit of his YouTube video, I might put it in that Talk's Best Performing Video section. I might also save this page like this as a static image if I want to print it or I want to send something where they're not going to be able to play a video. And then what you can do is up here, rather than doing add page, you can click the duplicate. It'll duplicate everything on this page, and then you can make a second version with the video in this. So you can choose which one you want whenever you download it or send it to someone or whatever it is. That's how you do that. So if you want to move your pages, put my cover page up top. I think I also want to change this bottom to be the blue that I've been using. There you have it. Wouldn't you want to put your social handles in there? Yeah, where did I put mine? All of mine are at Plexi Cosplay, and most of his are the same way as well. So we actually can make space for his in here, or you can put it underneath of this, which I think is how I did mine. We can highlight this text. We're gonna move our icons and our followers down. Yours might be different because your page probably is a different setup than his based on what you input. We're going to center it. Unclick, and then with this, we can add his link, whatever it is. And then whatever your handle, so don't put facebook.com/blah, blah, blah. You want this one to just be the at whatever, at Talk Custom, which I think is going to be probably all of these. I'm taking a guess for now. And I would put that over all three. There we go. And you can even make a box so that it makes a little more sense. And then fade out the box a little bit. So trust me on this one. That. I'm going to separate this just a little bit from the YouTube one. Make another box. So you have a separation between the YouTube because that's a different handle, and then everything with the same handle can go in its own box as well. Just fade it out a little bit. That way it's a little more easy to see with your eyes what goes where. But yeah. I like the coffee photo. I think it's good. You can also do that up here if you want to do the same thing. I'm just going to keep it like this because typically people will just look up Talk Custom on all of these pages. And then for your more in-depth resume version, you can stick it down here. And that makes, I think, the most sense as a marketer, since we really want this to be, you see it, you understand it without having to really even read it, honestly. If he has more stats on this, like view times and all those things, I'll put those underneath here the same way that I have mine. I actually separated it out into a separate page for a while. Yeah. Anyone have any other questions? Now, if you want to take this a step further, I just keep saying, let me have a drink of coffee first before everyone explodes. Okay, so say you love this, it looks great. It is a full page size. If you want to have something to like hand to a company while you're at a convention, which is smart, but you don't want to hand them a full piece of paper. You want to make like little postcard sizes. So I would do either 4 to a page or 2 to a page. Half a page is 4.25 by 5.5 is a quarter page. So you have 8.5 by 5.5. So you can resize. You want to resize to inches if you're in Merca land, but whatever you want to do. So the width is going to be the smaller. I'm going to do half page. If you don't have Pro, you will not be able to use the resize tool. It's part of the reason why I got Pro. If you do not have Pro and you would like to do this, now see, you would just kind of stretch things out and fill the spot. Not too difficult. If you don't have Pro, what you'll want to do is go back to your home screen and go ahead and create a new design of the right size. And then you can actually, yoink, select everything, Control C. Let's do a custom size here. Create a new design. Now, remember we were here and we Control C'd on everything in this selection. Let's see if this works. Control V. Yeah. So now you have that. Like I said, anything that was locked is not included, so I have to unlock stuff. So let me try this again. Now we have everything. So it'll put it to that new size that you did. And then you can just slowly move things around so we can resize that background image. But at least everything will stay in the same formatting. So we can cut out some time. Gonna lock that. Let's move these down a bit. You can even, now that you have a little bit more space on here, you can add a contact section at the bottom. I'm going to stretch out your grid. Lock that. Now we can also add a contact at the bottom. I'm going to copy this box because we already formatted it and it matches everything. Copy this text. Don't need the bullet point. Actually, I'm going to do... I think it's talkcustom@gmail.com. I'll check him later for that. Do we list that? Does he have that in here? I'm gonna center these, both of them. Utilize your space. Center it on that hard line. I'm going to go ahead and copy this text because I like size. Just make it a little bit smaller. Move that right to the center. So now that freed us up for some extra space at the bottom, which is kind of nice. But that's how you would resize something. So you might have to remake a few things on it and stretch things out, but it's smart. So the way you would do this then, after you have it resized, actually let's go back to the first one. The original document, you have your media kit ready now. Yay, I hope everyone has so many great media kits or something started. To save this, you can go up here and change the name. So Talk Custom Media Kit. Download. And you have many selections here on how you can download it. I'm going to download his as a PNG because I want him to be able to put it on his website, make a whole page that's just his media kit. And that way it's at the best viewing for online view. It's the sharpest for that. PNG is the sharpest. JPEG would be if I was doing these half pages, because I'm going to mix that with another one on a single page, and I'll tell you about that later. And PDF is for printing. MP4 video is if you had replaced one of these with a video and you want to save it for view. That's only obviously viewable online. You can't push a piece of paper and have the video go. So MP4 video is if you have a video in here and you're planning to send it to somebody online where they can view it or post it somewhere. I don't care what you do with it. I'm going to do PNG though. Select pages. I'm going to want both pages. And download. And it'll give you a little download bar here at the bottom. What I like to do is open up my File Explorer. It comes as a zip file. So right click, extract all. And now you'll see both of your pages are saved. Real nice. For this other one, I'm going to exit out of mine. So we've got this half-page version that I remade, right? We made a new size, copy-pasted everything from the original document, and stretched it out to be a different kind of format. This is 8.5 tall, 5.5 wide, which means I should be able to put 2 on a page. So I'm going to do Talk half page. I'm going to download this as a JPEG instead. Go back home, create a new design. This one's going to be 11 by 8.5. And now you can upload that JPEG. Yoink. You'll see that it matches right up to the half mark. You can see where it turns into a solid line. And it fills that entire half page because we sized it correctly. C, Control V, and now you've got 2 per page. All you have to do is cut the page in half, and you've got half pages to give out to companies. Yay! So, one way to do this. For me, I put my media kit, plexicosplay.com. I made myself a separate page here. My media kit is uploaded here. And I also put a button at the bottom to contact me. But you also should link it if you're applying to work at a convention or something. It's really nice. Sometimes they don't let you like upload photos in your application, but if you can link to your media kit somewhere online, then they still have the opportunity to look at it. Yeah, no problem for the tutorial. I will probably do more in the near future. As I go, hold on, let me just change this here. Video capture, nope, full camera. There we go. Hi guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope it helped. I'm going to have this on replay so you can watch it and follow along as much as you like and see where I was clicking. In the future, I'll probably make a tutorial like this where I'll live stream for business cards and different things like that that I think will be super useful. It's not very hard. It's in the same program. And once you have already made some of these things, you can save them and reuse the same like fonts. You can reuse the same pictures. All your uploads will stay there forever. It's really nice, and it just makes everything much easier as you continue going. So let me know if you have any questions in the future. Let them in the comments below on the side, wherever the heck they turn up on YouTube. And